Welcome into the next episode on our race around the world. I am one of your co-hosts, Kevin Oliver, and
And my name is Bruce Heller, and this is Pitstop Pals here on the Reality Realm Network. And we've got a really fun episode for you guys this week.
yes, sir, episode 3 of Amazing Race 25. Any initial thoughts, Bruce?
This was a really fun episode. The castle dungeon thing was where the
Yeah,
skeleton was really creepy and cool. Nice.
thanks.
For those that are listening on a platform that isn't YouTube, he just pulled out a really cool looking hat. I don't know what to call it, but second episode in a row, Kev has pulled out a fun hat. So
Yes, sir.
I also would have a contribution to quote of the episode this time.
Oh, I got like 4, but go ahead. Go for
There's blood on this one. I'll take it.
it. You wanna elaborate?
I think it's better without context, but okay. And we'll get to this in the recap. There's this creepy castle dungeon thing, and then this guy dressed as some sort of soldier or guard just standing in a dark room with a pile of clues in front of him. And
Mm-hmm.
apparently one of the clues envelope had blood on it. And so I forget who it was. It was one of the guys, of course, goes, "Oh, this clue has blood on it. I'll take that one."
That's good. That's good. I have a compilation of quotes, and they're all from the sheep.
Oh god. Oh yeah, the sheep were great.
Not quotes from the sheep, but quotes about the sheep.
I know.
I guess I should, elaborate on that because people like Bruce might get confused. Um, I don't know. I just liked how she said this one. After about 30 minutes of chasing rebellious sheep, I was about to give up. That was from Bethany, and I don't know. I just kind of liked how she called them rebellious sheep, assuming that there's a well-behaved type of sheep, I guess. Also, here we got. I thought the sheep would be more people friendly.
Yeah, I have one I wrote down from Whitney talking to the sheep. "Don't try to test me, just go."
And I got a couple here from the firefighters too. Sheep. This is my favorite one. Sheep have strange features. And then there was also, as they finished, the firefighter said, "Never counting sheep again."
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't blame them at all. And I have a few more quotes sprinkled in throughout the recap that I'll bring up as we get to them.
Sweet.
But that being said, are you ready to walk through this?
No, but yes.
Too bad, because you're not in charge this episode. All right, so to start episode 3 of Amazing Race 25, they left from Oxford, where they ended the last leg at Blenheim Palace. And Jim and not Jim and Misty, Adam and Bethany were the first to go off with Jim and Misty right after them. Adam and Bethany left at 12 a.m. Got the clue that they had to travel to the Shetland Islands, and they would have to be doing so by various forms of transportation, including train,
Choo
drive.
choo.
Yeah, choo choo. Driving a Ford Focus, driving it onto a ferry, and then driving to the Lifeboat Institute once they reach the Shetland Islands.
Yeah, what a wild trip.
Yeah, it was crazy. And, they had to wait for the train at 6:40. So basically every team was at the same point starting off this leg of the race.
Yeah.
It's just that the first teams might have got a little more rest. But anyway, they had to drive to the Lifeboat Institute and find a puffin. And I circled this because I think puffins are pretty cool. I like the puffins.
Too. It was a puffin mascot, and I feel like if I was on the race, I'd be looking for an actual puffin at first because I don't think the clue specified like mascot. It just said find a puffin.
Bruce. Yes, Bruce, but how do you figure the puffin is gonna hand you a clue or know to hand you a clue?
Just have a box of clues next to the puffin.
But then how are you gonna make the puffin stay where you want the puffin to stay?
It's trained. I don't
How
know.
many puffins are trained in the world? I'm gonna Google that.
At least one. There's got to be at least one.
Hang on. How many puffins are trained in the world?
No, it makes sense they did it the way they did, but I just would have thought of a real puffin before I thought of a mascot puffin.
There's it. I guess that's not an average question it's asked because
Why?
there's no. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that there's 15 to 20 million puffins in the world, and that's all I know.
Mm-hmm. And they're all trained, but not really.
No, they're not. But they're smart.
Bears can
Smart
be
little
trained.
birds. Anyway, I thought it was interesting here. Adam and Bethany worked with Jim and Misty and traveled together to the train station. I thought that was
Yeah, that was interesting.
yeah, an interesting thing. One of my favorite teams and one of my least favorite teams working together.
Yeah. You don't like them, but they're gonna be around for a while. I have a
Oh,
feeling.
I'm aware. I'm aware.
They're so good.
They really are. There's really not that much of a flaw to any part of their game. And in the same part, the firefighter hurt his ankle.
Yeah, I have that down. One of the firefighters twisted his ankle, and he later shows that to everyone while traveling. So that ankle.
Yeah, I have a quote about that actually. His ankle is huge and not the right color.
Yeah, because it was purple.
And yeah, and huge. Cool. And huge.
Also,
but there was.
I like the seats on this train that they're like lower to the ground and give you opportunity to like stretch your legs out. Those were cool.
Yeah. There was actually another thing I wanted to mention before we even got on the train though, and that was Kim and Alan. I thought it was hilarious that while everybody else was kind of chilling out for 6 hours waiting to get on the train, they decided that they were going to go to a pub.
Yeah, that's great. I love that so much. Why not experience the country you're in? You may never be back.
Right. That's basically what they said. They said, we're here for the experience of traveling the world. We're not here to lay in a train station for 6 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah. And so they took the train to Aberdeen, Scotland. Here I found an interesting fact here that Tim is also a flight attendant. I don't know that I ever heard that before.
I don't think they mentioned that, but it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, but that's an interesting piece of information when we're considering something like that. I mean, considering when we've seen flight attendants do well in previous seasons as well.
Yeah.
Well, not at this point. I'm thinking of Kayla and Raquel, but
I do think it's funny that one team is literally like the flight attendant's team, but there's someone on another team that's also a flight attendant.
Right.
There's 3 of them this season so far.
So far, like they're just gonna surprise. I'm a flight attendant too.
Well, they did it this episode. Why can't they do it again? I don't know.
Who else is gonna come out and say they're a flight attendant?
One of the firefighters. I don't know.
I think it's a little late for that.
But only on planes.
I think it's a little late for that.
Well, yeah, jet fuel.
Anyway, they had to go to Scalloway Castle for the next clue. And I have a quote here from the firefighters again as they were traveling. They got stuck behind the blue car from hell, and that really messed them up. I
have another quote I wrote down regarding driving in these Ford Focuses from flight attendants. Just an interaction between them. You just hit a curb. Yeah, well, we're gonna hit a lot of curbs.
Yeah.
So these cars are proving to be quite the challenge, surprisingly.
Well, you got to think they're driving on the opposite side of the car and the opposite side of the road that they do in their normal lives.
That's fair.
And they're flight attendants. They don't drive, they fly.
True, they're not car attendants. That's the
That's
people that
true.
pump your gas.
No valet parkers either.
Yeah. But oh well. But great episode for fun quotes and funny.
Oh, absolutely. I don't, and I promise you, I'm not done yet. But it, they had to go to Scalloway Castle for their next clue, and it told them about their two options uh for what they wanted to do. But before that, actually, survivors. There was a quick survivor scene in this episode. Did you catch that?
I think I did. I remember it vaguely, but I remember nothing about it now because I forgot to write it down.
How dare you? Wow, such a good note taker. I say quick because it was literally just a flash of Whitney and Keith laying on a hammock.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
They were talking about how 3 years ago we were in Samoa falling in love. And at the same point, we find out that they are in first place heading in to Pony Up or Light My Fire.
Yeah, so let's get into these detours. What do you think of these?
Neither one of them looked like a whole lot of fun. You see, in Pony Up, they had to cut 50 blocks of dirt. Basically, I couldn't figure out what word they were saying, but it was basically dirt. And then they had to use the pony to deliver it up this large hill. Or they could do Light My Fire, where they had to build a torch in a very complicated manner. And at the same time, Tim and TJ ended up getting lost, by the way.
Oh, yeah. They did do that.
Anyway, 4 teams did the Pony Up Challenge. The dentist, the soul surfer, the food scientists, and the flight attendants. And 5 teams did Light My Fire, which would be Nashville, the wrestlers, the bicyclists, the firefighters, and the college sweethearts. What did you think of these 2 options?
So anytime there's just 2 options, my mind goes to which one would I want to go to. And my first instinct was I want to go do the Viking one. That one looks more fun. And I felt vindicated at first because they didn't know how to use the tool to what is it? Is it like soil blocks they were digging out of the ground? What was that?
Pretty much. It was some kind of. They used a word and I could not make out what they were trying to say.
Me neither. But they were before they figured out how to use the tool, they were having a really hard time getting it out of the ground. I'm like, okay, I feel like I would have made the right decision here. Then we saw that
yes.
Yeah. Then we saw the people hanging out with the Vikings had to get their torch checked each step of the way. So,
well, I mean, I would prefer to do that than to do all 3 steps wrong and then have to start all over again.
That's true. But the torch was a lot more than I thought it was going to be when Mr. Phil was explaining it to us.
Mr. Phil.
Yeah. They called him in episode 1. I think Tim and TJ called him that.
Yeah. Me, I would have gone with the pony all the way around.
So we would have had to argue about where to go, but I probably would have just given in.
What?
I probably would have just given in to save the time arguing. But
good. Because I wouldn't have given in.
But hanging out with Vikings.
You're not hanging out with the Vikings though.
They all cheered and roared when the people brought their finished torches and they lit them. That seems pretty camaraderie.
So you're with them for 30 seconds.
You were with them the whole time you were making it. They were checking your stuff.
Yeah, and you're so pissed off at them that it doesn't matter.
Also, I do love the phrase that a few different teams use when getting their things checked of, "Excuse me, Mr. Viking. Is this correct?"
That's how I would like you to address me for the rest of this episode.
No.
Why not?
I really wish I had a Viking helmet in my room near my recording space that I could put on right now, but
You're slacking.
add that to my list of things I'll eventually buy off of Amazon. Viking helmet with the big
There you go.
horns.
Big hole.
Minnesota Vikings.
Gross.
I'm gonna
So we
text
find
our
out here
friend
that
Charles and say go Vikings with no context right now.
Jim was a former competitive bodybuilder in his college years.
Yeah, that was interesting. I didn't see that coming.
Well, I'm not surprised though. He's pretty fit.
His body type reminds me of Colin from 31.
Oh yeah.
They just those two teams remind me of each other. I can't really explain why.
Let's hope they don't have the same result. The building the torch was very complicated. That's what I've wrote here. As we see Keith and Whitney once again arguing.
Not as bad though.
They were still arguing. There was one point when they got to the third stage of building it with the cement where Whitney literally says, "Move, I'm doing this now."
Yeah. Also,
and they failed their first try at the first stage.
Yeah, I have a note here, speaking of Light My Fire, that I forgot to mention.
What's that?
You were going through the list of who did what detour. You forgot to mention that a certain team that you don't like meant to pick one detour and somehow accidentally stumbled into the other one.
They got the wrestlers got lost on their way to Pony Up and decided to do Light My Fire because somehow they landed there.
That's hilarious to me. Like them or not, that's funny.
And they were garbage at this challenge.
They got there first and left there last.
Yeah. It was not a good time for them. Another note I have from this detour part back to Pony Up was that Jim's pony is feisty.
I did have some sort of note about that someone said something about hopefully the ponies are easy to work with. Then we got this compilation of everyone's ponies running away from them with the bags of soil blocks on them.
Actually, you got the quote wrong.
I was paraphrasing. I wasn't trying to get it right.
No. You were actually completely opposite.
Huh?
It was Tim and TJ when they were at Fire said, I hope the ponies are aggressive ponies.
Okay.
And that's, yeah.
There was some sort of quote along those lines, followed by a compilation of people's ponies running away from them and running in circles with the bags of blocks on them.
Yes. I put the flight attendant's pony is getting dizzy because it was just going in circles.
Nice.
And you can't do that. Huh.
I can't.
And Jim's pony was trying to hit him where the sun don't shine. And it just wasn't a good time. But I think it was the food scientist named their pony Cupcake and had no problem with their pony.
The candy scientist had a great episode this week.
You mean the food scientist? Yeah, the food scientist did great. Let's see here. Jim and Misty ended up being the first one done with this part. They're the first ones to the Pony Up and made a very big point of saying, we're the first ones here. We will be the first to leave, and there should be no other way that this goes. And that's what happened.
Yeah, Jim and Misty for them. They backed it up.
Were the first ones done, followed by the flight attendants somehow. Really bumped up there.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened exactly. They went from almost being eliminated last week to really solid this week.
Yeah. And then Adam and Bethany and the food scientist left third and fourth, which means that all four of the teams at Pony Up left their challenge before anybody at Light My Fire was done with theirs. interesting. And it was at this time that I wrote that the wrestlers suck because they were absolutely struggling at this point with building their torch.
Was it Robbie that like all the teams found out the nail had to be bent sideways and couldn't fit, and was like trying to use the claw end to like pull it instead of just like
They couldn't figure out how to bend the nail.
just hit it sideways. It's not that hard.
Yeah. And the firefighters had a really funny moment here when they were like, most people bend nails on accident. Robbie can't even bend a nail on purpose.
Yeah,
It was bad. But Tim and TJ, they were the first group to finish Light My Fire, which there was like 3 or 4 groups that finished at the same time.
mm-hmm.
But both Kim and Allie and Keith and Whitney got lost trying to find the Vikings.
Yeah,
So
I forgot about that.
Yeah, Tim and TJ and the firefighters both found the Vikings first, finishing the D2 were part of this challenge in 5th and 6th place, followed by the bicyclists and Keith and Whitney, leaving this detour 7th and 8th. And finally, the wrestlers got done and were able to move on to the next part where they had to go to Berry Farm and do Flock Together, where they had to corral sheep.
Imagine being some unsuspecting tourist in Scotland, right? Yeah. And you're just walking down
in the Shetland Island.
Shetland
if we want to
Island.
be specific.
They were in Scotland earlier. Anyway.
Aberdeen, Scotland is where they had to ride the train to. Yeah.
Imagine being some unsuspecting tourist. You're walking on this sidewalk by the pier, and out of nowhere you just see all these Vikings screaming and with a big fire in the middle of them. That must be so unsettling.
Yeah.
I'd kind of want to join
really
whatever.
Cool.
Like it'd be really cool to see, but like it'd be like, what the heck am I looking at?
Just keep walking.
Okay. But
that was. Is that how you walk, Bruce?
No, that was just me pretending to run while sitting in my chair.
Is that how you run, Bruce?
No, it's how I pretend to run. Super fast, like lightning. Anyway.
Okay. They had to corral the sheep, and the sheep can jump.
They can. This was fun.
Higher than Bruce.
Yes.
It was kind of impressive how much these sheep were jumping, you know. And this is another quote, the flight attendant, this is going to be easy and fun as they walk up to it. And then they say, wait, they jump at you. And so, yeah, they have to corral these sheep, and they have discovered that it is not an easy task to corral sheep.
It's not, but this challenge was just chaos in its purest form, and I love it.
It was very fun to watch, and Jim and Misty being the first ones there were also the first ones to leave here as well. And they had to get this clue, and it was a coin. And the man said, go where this was originally found. And that was a hint. They had to figure out that location. They had to go ask people. And we found out that, wow, if I could read my own writing, do you know what this pit stop was called? Saint something Island was the pit stop. You didn't write it down?
No, I just wrote pit stop looks really cool. Cool view.
My goodness. It starts with an N. Ninens or Ninens, something like that. St. Ninens pit stop is the pit stop for this leg of the race.
Write legibly next time, and you won't have to count on me to write things down.
Bruce, I write fast so I can make sure I get everything, unlike you. Anyway, and you, yeah, I don't do that because I podcast from my phone. Anyway.
Oh, true.
Jim has a really cocky statement here as he's finishing the sheep and getting this hint for the pit stop, saying, we knew we were the best team coming in. Only difference is everyone else knows now." And they were talking about how they had to, or how they had this big target on their back, and if they didn't have a big target, everybody else was dumb and crazy. Also, I want to take a moment here real quick before we move on, Bruce. I know I talk a lot of crap on Jim and Misty, but as a fan of the Amazing Race, I need to take a moment here and pause, because it was just last night that I found out that Jim Raymond passed away a
Oh
few years
no,
ago. A
I did
few
not know
years,
that.
yeah. There's not that many racers that have passed, but he is one of them. And so I know it's been a few years, but us at Pitstop Pals want to send our condolences to the family of Jim.
Yeah, for sure.
And we, as much as I don't always root for the man, we love having him on our TV screens, and we love podcasting about Jim and Misty. They are a absolutely amazing group of
For
competitors.
sure.
Sorry for the somber moment there. But well, that was a fun face. Hey, there's your still for the
Yeah,
episode.
if I can pinpoint this one point in the show when I'm editing.
Well, I believe you. I believe in you, and I believe you. Okay.
You do believe me though.
Uh. Anyway, it was at this point Jim and Misty got to the pit stop at St. Neeson's Island, where they were greeted by a puffin. The same puffin that gave him a clue earlier.
A mascot puffin.
Yes, a mascot puffin, as they were given the title of first place on this leg of the race in the Shetland Islands, and they won a trip to Dubai, sponsored by Travelocity.
Yes, they did. That was really cool.
Yes.
Oh, if you win a trip by Travelocity, do they give you like one of their little gnome people? Because I kind of want.
I want a gnome. That's all I know.
I don't know what I'd do with it, but I want one.
I'm gonna put it in my yard.
Romeo and Juliet. That was a fun movie.
Or maybe I will get one and I'll put it right in front of me when we podcast. Anyway, I've already shared a lot of these quotes I have with you from during the sheep race from our quote of the episode part of the show.
Yeah.
And so that's my major notes in terms of the sheep herding. Everybody struggled for a little bit. Most teams eventually got it figured out, except the firefighters and the flight attendants. And the truth of the matter is, when it came down to it, the firefighters were very much plagued with Scott's ankle injury, made it very hard for them.
I even wrote down, wow, Scott limping really bad through sheep herding.
Yes, it was not good. And there was at one point he wanted to give up and take the 4-hour penalty.
Yeah. And
Michael would not let him.
And so, not necessarily a quote, but Tim and TJ buying at the sheep as a strategy.
That was pretty great.
And it working.
And it worked,
great.
yeah.
Another, again, not a quote, but from Tim and TJ were gold on this challenge.
Yeah, like when they tied the clothes.
That's what I was going to say, like trying to tie their clothes together as some sort of fence.
And it failed epically.
Which was funny, but it's like you have this string of shirts tied across this way, not very
and
like
sock.
tall.
There was a sock too.
And the sheep just ran right under it like it wasn't even there.
Yeah.
That was funny.
It was. It was kind of a hurdle for some of them, actually. So that was nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just gotta say, Keith and Whitney killed the sheep challenge.
They did.
They finished the detour in 8th, and they left the sheep challenge in 4th.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to the what?
The candy scientists, Amy and Maya, left the sheep challenge second and somehow finished at the pit stop 5th.
Because they got the wrong info on where to go.
True. Which the firefighters did too. So
yes. Anyway, Adam and Bethany, they came into the pit stop in 2nd place. Had a great episode. Keith and Whitney got 3rd. Flight attendants 4th. Food scientists, like you said, after getting lost, they ended up there in 5th place. The wrestlers and the bicyclists got there about the same time. The wrestlers decided that they wanted to get the better placement, so they outran the bicyclists, taking 6th. Kim and Allie finished in 7th. Then it came down to a race between Tim and TJ, who were the last people to leave the sheep, and the firefighters, who were given the wrong information on where to go for the pit stop. And Tim and TJ ended up getting there in 8th place, making the firefighters last and being the 3rd team eliminated from season 25 of The Amazing Race. Do you have anything to say about the firefighters as we see them go, Bruce?
Yeah, they were fun. They grew on me a little bit the 2nd and 3rd episode. We knew from the 1st episode they weren't going to go super deep, so I'm not shocked here. But I'm more shocked that Tim and TJ hit the placement they did. They've been one of the strongest teams all season so far. So I have no reason to not believe they'll be back higher up placement next week, but they struggled this week.
Yeah, they did. They did. I really like the firefighters. You know, like I said, that first episode that we talked about, they did some things that kind of made me not like them, like when they ripped the pink ladies out of the taxi. But they were a fun group. Like I've proven here, they have had many good quotes from their 3 episodes, and I'm sad to see them go here.
Me too.
For sure. Bruce, do you have some power rankings to give us? What the heck are you doing? Are you trying to brag?
No, you always put fun hats on every week and like change headwear in the middle of the show. And I realized my graduation hat was on the shelf here right next to me. So I wanted to change hats too, like you always. I want to be like you when I grow up.
Man, that's a pretty low bar.
Well, I didn't say it wasn't. I just said that's the bar I'm aiming for. But yes, I have power rankings.
Aim low, kids, because you're not always. I mean, if you're Bruce, then you might actually hit your hit your target. Just kidding, Bruce. I love you.
I know.
Aim low, because then you can be less disappointed if you fail and really happy if you don't.
So power ranking. This kept happening graduation day too. This tassel hits me in the face and it's annoying. So I'm going to lean my head like this. In 9th place on my power rankings, Brooke and Robbie. They've had at least
Wait a second here. I got a problem. You put a team that went home higher than a team that didn't?
Is there only 8 teams left?
Yeah.
Why do I have 9 power rankings? Hold on. Misty and Jim. All 9 of the teams I have listed here are still in. No.
Well, there's
not a number 2 on my list. Never mind.
Oh my gosh.
I will send you a screenshot of this. But number 8, actually, Brooke and Robbie, they haven't been last or second to last yet, but they've had one challenge every week that they just struggle mightily with, and that's gonna catch up to them soon, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. Number 8 on my ranking is also Brooke and Robbie.
Number 8 on
Oh,
mine is Shelly and Nisi.
no,
They
number 7 on yours.
sorry, number 7 on mine is Shelly and Nisi. Let's see how many times I make that mistake and just read the number off of my note. Number 7 is Shelly and Nisi, and they had a great episode this week. Maybe they can keep that going. They've been near the bottom of the pack the first 2 episodes, so I'm not
I
ready to jump
also
on the bandwagon yet.
I also put Shelly and Nisi at 7th. What is happening here? We don't agree. Yeah, they had a great episode. Number 4, they finished in 4th this week. They looked good. It's just I'm not confident in the longevity.
Number 6, I said it right that time,
So proud.
is Tim and TJ. Cause I don't think I genuinely think overall they're one of the better teams, but I can't put them any higher than this based off of coming off of this episode. I have to kind of base it on an episode to episode basis. So
Yeah. I also had Tim and TJ in 6th.
you're so smart.
Shut up.
Real quick, when we were talking about the Vikings, I texted our friend Charles, who is an annoyingly level of Lions fan. I just said "Go Vikings" with no context, and he just
Please.
texted me back and just said "overpaid." I don't know what that means. That's not a response to what I said, but oh well.
It's Charles. What do you expect?
Not much, but still here we are with me disappointed somehow.
Somehow, I think you just got expectations too high, I suppose.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Tim and TJ, they had a great week, or not a great week. They've had a great first 2 episodes. This week, they regressed immensely, but I believe that they will turn it around at least a little bit.
Yep. And so, number 5,
Wow. Okay.
I have a team that is getting stronger each episode so far.
I think you're going to do the same thing. Oh, no, you might not do the same thing I did. Okay.
They were better episode 2 than they were episode 1, and they were better this episode than they were episode 2. It's Keith and Whitney.
Nope. We didn't do it. You ruined it. Okay. Yeah, I like that pick.
Though
My number what?
they've been moving up my rankings, and I think they're going to keep doing that. This is just where they are this week.
Right. I had the food scientist at 5th.
Nice.
Yeah. I think that they are also a team that is getting better every week, which is why I thought we might have done the same thing again.
Yeah.
But
They're
I like them.
They
They're-
haven't
they're-
gotten a ton of screen time at all.
They have not gotten
But I
it.
just have this gut feeling that the candy scientists are going to go really deep into this thing for some reason.
The food scientists,
That work with candy.
which is food. Yeah, they're getting kind of that purple edit I was talking about still.
Yeah.
But they're looking good.
Coming in at number 4 is Kim and Allie, who kind of weren't as strong this week as they were the first couple weeks, but nothing stuck out to me that concerned me. So here they are.
I also put the bicyclists at 4. I will officially say something I hinted at last week. I would officially say this is my favorite team on the season.
Adam and Bethany aren't your favorite team anymore?
Not anymore.
Nice.
Kim and Allie are my favorite team on the season. They had probably their worst episode of the season.
Yeah.
And so that's why I placed them at 4th. But they are still super strong as a team.
My favorites right now are I like
Adam and
Kim and
Bethany.
Allie a lot, but Adam and Bethany, Keith and Whitney, and I'm entertained by Tim and TJ for some reason. They're just kind of fun to watch. especially after their whatever
Also
you want to
because
call that at the sheep challenge.
right. Also because your other favorite team went home last week.
Yeah, well, yeah. So
Yeah.
coming in at number 3 is Amy and Maya. They probably should have finished second place this week. Got bad directions going to the pit stop. Got turned around a little bit. They climbed up the pack a lot this week. And like I said, I have no basis for this because they get no screen time. But I just have this gut feeling they're going to be around for a long time.
That's fair. That's fair. My number 3 is Team Nashville, baby. Heath and
Nice.
Whitney. I thought that they're climbing. Their bickering is still concerning, but evidently it is not causing them much in the way of affecting their gameplay so far. They've been fun to watch. I love that they mentioned their love story from Survivor in this episode, and I can't wait to see what they continue to do.
My number 2 is Adam and Bethany. They've been really good so far. They went from 5th place to 1st place to 2nd place. They're really strong.
Such a strong team. They were my number 2 as well.
Number 1, they've dominated so far. First, second, first. Misty and Jim. I don't know what else to say at this point. They've been so good all season.
You can't argue it. Can't argue it. As much as I have said I'm not a big fan, they're killing it.
Of course you can't argue it. I said it.
That would give me more of a motivation to argue it, sir.
Fair enough.
But like I said, rip Jim.
Yeah.
But they're so strong. We can't deny the dominance so far. And so they are also my number 1. And I think this is very interesting because we only had 2 differences and it was just a flip-flop thing.
Yeah.
Heath and Whitney and the food scientist, 3rd and 5th. We flipped them. So somehow we agreed, which doesn't happen that often. Believe it or not.
Yay.
I don't know if I liked it or not.
I don't care if you like it or not. It happened.
It happens. I suppose. Bruce, do you have anything else you want to mention about this episode or about the Amazing Race in general?
No, this was a fun episode. It's been a great season so far. Thank you guys for checking out Pitstop Pals. Be sure to go check out the other Reality Realm shows. Tribal Council Chat drops every Saturday. And why don't you go ahead and sign us off?
All righty, Bruce, we're gonna try this again. We're gonna try this again, okay?
Go.
Because I think I messed it up last week. The world is waiting for you. Travel safe.
Travel safe.
No, I say travel safe. I messed that up. The world is waiting for you. Travel safe.
Go.
No.
You didn't tell me what I was supposed to say.
Good luck.
Oh, start
the
over.
The world is waiting for you. Travel safe.
Good luck. Go.
And go.
I said go first.
We're supposed to try to do it together.
I thought we were trying to see who could say it first.
No. That was never
the...
I don't care.
Okay, bye guys.
See ya.